All right. It looks like we are recording now. So,
Great.
okay. Welcome everyone to P&W's Performance Excellence Symposium called Inspiring Excellence. Today we've got someone with us here that is going to be presenting at our symposium upcoming in September on Tuesday, the 24th in Redmond, Washington at Microsoft World Headquarters. And so we appreciate today's guest taking time, Ray Lindley, and spending a few minutes to tell us a little bit about what they're doing at Elevations Credit Union and what he's going to talk about in one of his keynote presentations that we're going to have. So um, just to get us kicked off, if you would, Ray, introduce yourself a little bit, give our listeners a brief overview of what Elevations Credit Union does and a little bit of your organizational background, and then describe the culture that you've created to kind of differentiate Elevations from your competitors or from other institutions like you.
Okay, great. Thank you. Well, I'm glad to be here today. Thanks for looking forward to the symposium in September as well. So that'll be a great time. Elevations Credit Union is one of the largest credit unions in the state of Colorado. We were established in 1953 at the University of Colorado, so our roots are in education. Um, Jerry Agnes, who is our CEO, brought the Baldrige framework to him when he was hired here as the CEO back in 2008. And so we've had it with us as part of how we do what we do and who we are since then. My role here is I support all of our member-facing functions: digital, mortgage, business, consumer, wealth management, contact center, all that. And so I work on the front lines with our team, serving our members every day, making sure that we're providing them what they want. And so I think that's been just an amazing challenge, but a fun challenge at the same time. Elevations is a little unique in our business model, as you said. Credit unions many times are viewed as they're going to have the lowest rates on loans or maybe have the easiest way to get loans and that. And that's really not us. We're built around service. We want to win and we want to compete by providing better service, better education to our members and putting our members first, helping them in their financial lives. And that's been the key to our success. There's many times in financial services a race to the bottom on rates and to become the cheapest, and people do that. That's not us. The culture that we have developed here is built on that. So we hire and we want people who have a passion and a heart for serving others. That's the first key we look for. The second key we look for, though, however, is what we call continual improvement. And that sounds good and that sounds fun until someone's challenging you to get better at what you do each and every day. And that takes a unique person and it takes a unique mindset. And so making sure people are here for continuous improvement, I think, is number two. And then number three is culturally, we have made a very bold statement that we want this to be the best place you've ever worked. And we want people who will make it the best place they've ever worked for me and for their colleagues and for everybody they work with. And if you're not committed to that, and if you're not passionate about that, and if that's not what you want to be, then this isn't going to be the place for you. And so I think those three things kind of come together to really create a very, very unique culture. And we'll be able to talk a little bit more about what that looks like there in September as well, because there's some key elements to how we measure that and what we do to establish that.
Yeah. Well, building on that conference theme, for those of you who are not familiar with our event, building excellence for today and instilling resilience for tomorrow is the topic that we're going to be having. And we're really focusing on this idea of culture and how performance excellence can really allow an organization to focus on what's most important to it and really hone in on those things and deliver on those things that the customers really want. How is using the Baldrige framework kind of guided Elevations to achieve? You've got some top decile performance in some areas. I mean, some
Yeah.
best in class performance in some areas. What's really driving your results, and how do you use that to deliver your service every day?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I don't want to make it sound easy. I'll use that phrase: simple, not easy. But really, once you get into and you delve into the Baldrige framework, there is a great set of questions, a great set of things that ask you to talk about. And if you take that to heart more so than just writing an application and really look at it from your business perspective, that framework causes you to really have a very deliberative, thoughtful, planned out approach to your business.
Mhm.
And I would tell you, we have gained a lot from that. It asks about your business model. It asks, what are your key processes and how did you define those? And how do you measure those? And how do you know? It asks things, how do you ensure that entire organization is engaged and involved and following that? And those are great questions. Those are key questions to running a successful enterprise, no matter what business line you're in. And so I think using that framework, taking it really serious and digging into that and really making sure that you understand how that works. It's all about making sure key processes are followed and how success is developed. And I'll tell you, there are many businesses that can be successful from just hard work, some luck, some good market conditions and things for short periods of time. What the Baldrige process really helps you understand is in perpetuity, for the long run, how are you going to ensure you're successful? Uh, and if I could, I'll give you an example. We really started doing mortgage lending in 2012 at this organization, so roughly 12 years ago. We're new in the game. Since that time, though, we have used the questions and the framework and the work of Baldrige process in building our mortgage division. And it's a constant every month, every day, every year, looking at our business, how we can do it better, what we can do. What that's caused us is over the last now 8 years in a row, we have actually done more mortgage lending in our primary market, which is Boulder, Colorado. Great market, very competitive market. And there's some key competitors we compete with. You may have heard of some of these. JP Morgan Chase,
Sure.
Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Rocket Mortgage. You see those big mortgage companies, you say. Through using this framework and our focus on excellence, we have been able in 8 years in a row to do more mortgages in our major county than all of those other companies combined.
Wow.
And that is a testament. When you said earlier, top performance, a lot of that, we got great people, don't get me wrong, and we've got good things, but we have a very firm business model that we follow, and we have a commitment to performance excellence. That's the result of when you do these kind of efforts.
I appreciate that story because I've heard a lot of organizations say we thought we were pretty good until we started measuring ourselves against others.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what you did with that particular
Mhm.
story was from the very beginning, actually
Mhm.
used it to set the bar high from the
Yep.
very, very start. And so
Yeah.
you knew where these other people were playing, what they were doing well, maybe what some of their advantages or vulnerabilities might be, or where
Yep.
you might challenge them and
Mhm.
really go toe to toe with them in the market
Yeah.
and have success. That's a great
Yeah.
story. Thanks
Yeah.
for sharing that. As far as when you're engaging your
Mhm.
customers, we often ask organizational leaders, how much time do you spend working in your organization versus working on your organization?
Mhm.
And what we mean by that is that doing daily work is just part of what we do all the time. But
Yep.
how often do you kind of try to step back from that and take more of a global perspective, an external view of kind of your organization? And what does that look like inside of Elevations?
Yeah, that's a great question. A couple things. Number one is one of the things that we've been, in our two Malcolm Baldrige awards that we've been lauded for doing really well is our strategic planning process, which I think is the key to where you're going with that question. Because we have a very defined process for how we do our strategic planning. It's very brought out from the board level down to the lowest employee of how we do things. In that becomes an operational rhythm where we define, to your question, how are we going to be in the business versus how are we going to be on the business? And so we're very purposeful because this operational rhythm ensures that we have an appropriate amount of time in each. So I'll give you an example. At the higher level, our board of directors and our chief level spends more time working on the business. How do we get better? How are we doing? What threats are out there? What are we looking at? And we have a very formal process that has monthly, quarterly, and yearly meetings in that. Um, our we spend time in the business, but then our other employees spend a lot of time in the business, running and doing the things that we do. And so for the senior executives, we're spending time on the business. And when we're in the business, it's really a mix of on and in because how is it working? What's
Right.
working? What's not working? More so than are you doing your job correctly, so to speak, if that makes sense.
Right.
And so I think that my answer to that would be the operational rhythm, very well thought out, the strategic planning process, very well thought out, that is reviewed annually. Is this still working and are we still doing it? Part of that comes with, and one of the things we've introduced, and we're going to talk a lot about this in September, is a process we call scenario planning. And it's a process we started about 11 years ago now. And it is where we have defined some of the major risks and components of the external market. How do we monitor and look at those? What are the major forces with that? And then we stress test that, so to speak, against our business model, our key objectives, and our strategies that we're going to put in place. And it says things, what if the Colorado economy does very, very well over the next 5 years? However, what if the Colorado economy really falls over the next 5 years? What if there's a preference for primary providers like banks and credit unions, and that still remains strong? What if people choose to start, using these new alternative and, online, financial services company? And how are we going to adjust, and how are we going to make moves and all of that? And so good strategic planning, a strong, well thought out operational rhythm, and then really looking at that external environment in a true and honest way, I think, are how you do that and how you ensure the business succeeds.
And those scenarios probably provide you just with thoughts and
Yep.
thinking that just prepare you for the future,
Yep.
not necessarily taking action on them, I would guess. You have those scenarios out there
Mhm.
and they're just meant to inform and to kind of challenge your thinking, but not
Mhm.
really. I would guess you don't have a crystal ball, right? They don't actually
Nope.
come true, right? Do they?
Mhm. No, they don't. And it's a great point. Let me give you, if I give you a specific example, in our scenario, in our forces that we look at, one of them is AI. AI is in everybody's world, and we know that.
True.
And really what it is, we have a team of people who are just monitoring what's going on. And how do we think this could affect our business, and what should we and should we not be doing? And we talk about things all the way up. AI fizzles and is gone in 2 months to AI rules the world in 2 years. And so are we prepared for all of those? And what would we do differently based on how that goes?
And speaking of the market conditions
Mhm.
of today, we're seeing a
Mhm.
little bit of pullback from those AI venture capitalists, and so some of
Yeah,
that stuff may
yeah,
actually start to come
yeah,
true.
yeah.
Well, tell me a little more about Elevation's business model. You
Mhm.
mentioned the operating rhythm
Uh-huh.
and the culture that probably starts to help support and build. But
Mhm.
how has it evolved? How have you kind of changed your business model as a result of using? I mean, you've kind of given
Mhm.
some
Yeah.
insights into that already, but just a little more specifically.
Yeah, so our business model, we review it every year, first of all, because obviously, the external world that we serve in, the needs and wants of our members can change a lot, and so we review it a lot. The basic format of our business model does not change, however, and it really is, we're a financial services company, obviously. We are here for relationships, and we want to have holistic, broad-ranging relationships with our members. We want to be their primary financial institution. We say this, and it kind of says who we want to serve, and in the same vein, it says who we don't want to serve. We want individuals who are looking for an organization they can trust, that is here for their success and for their dreams. We are looking for individuals who want an advocate to help them with their financial lives, help them navigate it, help them succeed in it. And we will offer competitive products and services. We're not going to be the lowest rate provider in the market. We're not going to have the most fancy fangled technology. We'll have good stuff. We'll be good. But if you really want a partner, if you really want an advocate, if you really want somebody to be in the long term, that's us. And what that tells you is then who we're not going after,
Right.
right? If price is the most important thing and you want the absolute lowest rate you can find anywhere in the world on your auto loan, you'll find a lower rate. And we're probably not for you. And that really defines how we do our strategies, our structures, and what we do. So that business model within it. Now, how we execute that changes. As an example, how we deliver auto loans 10 years ago versus today, vastly different. Our members expect something different. They want to get their auto loan on their phone now. They want to make it quick. They want to make it easy. They still want the education. They still want knowledge. They still want great service. But man, it's got to be fast and easy. And so we have to alter how we deliver our business model, but yet our business model stays firm through that time.
So for elevations, you're not really questioning what you should be doing as much
Mhm.
as you're really trying to use it as a focusing element to say we really need to be good at this stuff.
Absolutely.
I also heard in your
Mhm.
the explanation
Mhm.
was it sounded like you're almost going through your customer requirements, kind of what people
Yeah.
expect you to do, and
Uh-huh.
maybe some of those might be influencing the processes that you're building,
Mhm.
and kind of how you're monitoring. Are you achieving the things that our customers feel are most important to them.
Yep.
Was there a connection a little bit in what you just explained?
Yep, absolutely. And there's a big connection because the focus is in our business model. We have three key elements in which we kind of we observe our member centricity, we call it. How are we serving our members, right? And that's an important part. The second aspect that we look at is our workforce. How's our workforce engaged? And if we have a great, strong workforce, that's a big thing. Then the third element of that is our financial sustainability. Are we running and managing the business in such a way that will enable us to continue to serve, continue to grow? And then the center of that is our member. And so we have key KPIs and all of those things that do that. But the member is at the center of all of that. We're always focused on the member, our customer. We're always focused on what they need. And we balance it with those three external environments that I told you about. So I'll give you a quick example of that. Let's go back to mortgage for an example. One of the things that we know very clearly is buying a home is one of the largest investments that most people will make. And it is also one of the most stressful and can be one of the most hard experiences to go through. And it's like many other things. And what we discovered really early on in talking to our customers and listening to our customers is that is what they felt. So then we took that away. And then when we build our process for how we're going to deliver that mortgage loan, we were focused on what does our member need. And one of the key aspects we learned from that is the members don't ever want to guess and they don't want to be stressed. They want to know and they want good communication and they want an opportunity to ask questions of people. So we started a process that every week, every one of our loan officers will reach out to every member in their whole pipeline via email, via text, via phone call and say, hey, it's Friday afternoon. Here's what's going on this week. Here's what we did. Here's what we're waiting for. Here's where we're at. Nothing you need to do. Things are on track. You're ready to go. If you have any questions, let me know. And what we discovered is, oddly enough, when you send that on Friday, people usually worry and are thinking about this stuff over the weekend, right?
Right.
And it alleviated so much of the stress and worry from folks as they were going through this process. And the kudos and the recognition and the thank you we get from people still to this day. But it's built on a very defined process that adds value, that's meaningful, that lives to our business model. Oh, and by the way, we ensure it gets done every single member, every single time. And that is one of the keys to our success we've done there.
Well, building on that key of success. So first of all, I have to give kudos to Elevations Credit Union. I have been with PNW in this role of executive director for about 5 years. And every time I pick up the phone and reach out to you guys for some help, you gladly just open your doors, open your thoughts and your minds and your hearts, I think, to help organizations. And so on behalf of PNW, we are sincerely grateful for all of the work that you do to support our Alliance program and other Alliance programs as well. But the thing that's always drawn me to your organization is what I would call this secret sauce. You seem to kind of have a secret sauce of being able to build this culture that really focuses on exceeding customer needs. And I just would like to know more about what's in the secret sauce.
I wish I could tell you it's something really secretive and that no one's heard of. A couple of things I'll tell you. I think it's the culture that we've built. I think it's our business model. I think it's what we focus on. I think we do a really good job of getting our whole organization to buy off, understand, and commit to that. And we spend a lot of our time with that. So I would say if I had a secret sauce, it's how engaged the entire employee base is in this effort in what we do. We're here to serve, and we count that as an honor to be able to help people and to serve people. You mentioned it's the support we give to the Baldrige community. We take very, very seriously, and you know this as well as anybody. When you become a Baldrige Award winner, there's a responsibility that comes with it, and we were very thoughtful about that. And first of all, we are just simply paying back what other organizations have done for us. And we just help by pay that forward. And by the way, we still rely on a lot of organizations to help us, get better. So I think it's it. I would tell you, it's the culture. It's the commitment to continuous improvement. Easier said than done. And continuous improvement is hard to do. It means, you have to be willing to hear some things you don't want to hear. You have to be willing to hear the truth and deal with the truth, even though it's hard. Um, that's hard to get a culture that's ready to do that. That takes a special way of communicating, a special way of doing that. And so I would tell you, I think that's one of the keys to our successes is that we have a large portion of our employees who say, I want to get better every day. Tell me what I need to know.
And so, but the word commitment is
Mhm,
somewhat unique. You don't see a lot or hear a lot of
mhm,
organizations
yeah,
that want to roll stuff out, and
yeah,
they'll sometimes stop short of saying, are you able and willing to
mhm,
do this? Do you think
mhm,
that, that you're going to be able to, and maybe what kinds of questions do you have about being able to commit? So just a
mhm,
little more on what does
mhm,
commitment look like in
mhm.
elevations?
Yeah, so commitment is first of all, it is a follow through. I would use that word with
Oh,
what it is we want you to say. It is a willingness to be held accountable. It is a willingness to put your full faith and effort behind it. So you do those things, you're committed. Um, we have a saying here, what makes people wildly successful in our culture is following our core values. We hold those very seriously. We also will not tolerate and accept people who do not follow our core values. And so when they see that in action, when they see the leadership and the employees and the people who are being recognized as ones who follow the core values, and maybe people who are asked to leave the organization because they're not following the core values, that shows a level of accountability that we as an organization. And then what I found is then employees are willing to be accountable because the organization is accountable.
right.
And so I think that is maybe where that comes in.
That's kind of a two-way street, really, isn't it?
Yep.
And that
Yep.
builds trust and that builds a lot of other things as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Well, we are so happy to have Elevations not only here today, but also in our symposium efforts.
Mhm.
I want to put up real quickly, just for everybody out there. Again, the 28th Annual Learning Symposium for P&W is going to be focusing on building resilience for today and building excellence for
Mhm.
today and building resilience for tomorrow. It's going to be September 24th from 8 to 5 p.m. at Microsoft World Headquarters in Redmond, Washington. For more information, you can see that you could visit our website, performanceexcellencenw.org /symposium. And again, Ray's going to be talking more about aligning key systems to build the culture within the organization. And we're looking forward to hearing more about that. And so I'm transitioning there to my last question, which is
Mhm.
really we're looking forward to the presentation. Thank you for being here today. Share finally with our listeners just something that maybe you haven't touched on yet in your presentation that would want them to register and come
Mhm.
see us on September 24th.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things I think it's great about these symposiums and these forums is when we can focus on real life tools and real life examples. And so what I plan to do is go through exactly what like our scenario planning process looks like and how we map it out. I really want to talk and show exactly what our operational rhythm is, our strategic planning process is. And so people bring, the cell phones anymore and you can take pictures and we're happy to share those with you too. So give real life examples of our results, real life examples of our scenario planning, our operational rhythms and strategy, so that hopefully that's something that everybody can take back to their organizations and figure out how that works with their organization. So I think giving people real life tools, real life examples, and real life things to take back to their organizations, I think is something that I'll be focused on.
Sounds like something pragmatic that anybody could use in their organization,
Mhm.
regardless if it's a school district or a bakery or
Yep,
whatever
absolutely.
they might be doing.
Yeah.
And then I wanted just to kind of
Mhm.
say one more final thank you as we're closing here today. And we look forward to seeing you on the 24th, Ray. And thanks for spending a few minutes with us and
Mhm.
sharing more about your presentation.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Look forward to it. And someday I want to look as good as that guy in that picture you just showed. I think a little worse for wear now, but yeah, it looked better back then.
Well, it happens to us all, right?
Doesn't it? Doesn't it? Yep. All
Yeah.
right.
All right. Thank you so much, Ray.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Bye bye.